Hello, everybody, and welcome to the episode 1 of the all-new Blues Focus Live Lounge. I'm your host, Kieran Fitzpatrick. The Live Lounge we have created is for you. We want you to all have your say, be able to spread your thoughts and opinions on all things Blues Focus and Blues related. We'll be focusing on live calls into the studio and having fans on as guests. This will make our Blues Focus community come together and be able to have the chats that we all have on Twitter anyway. We'll also be answering any comments that are coming into the chat. So you can react with what's going on live, and we can react and maybe push the conversations on further. On today's Live Lounge, we will be talking about Tony Mowbray, of course, with him coming in, what that could mean for the future of Birmingham, his first game, and if there was any differences that we saw between that and what we've previously seen. And we'll be touching on the announcement of the OVG group and what that could mean going forward for Birmingham City as a whole, and transfer window news or updates or aspirations, what people would be wanting, what we'd be looking for, if there's any gaps that people see in our current team. Now, just a quick disclaimer, this is our very first Live Lounge, episode 1. So I just want to say that if technology doesn't play ball with us the way we'd expect it, please bear with us. Hello, Elaine. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. Hello, Billy. We'll get round to questions shortly. But first of all, we want to get on our first guest. So that's Callum. So we'll introduce him into the screen now, and we'll go through a few questions with Callum. Hiya, Callum.
How you doing, Kieran? You all right?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good. Just wanting this all to go right, episode 1. So congratulations on being the very, very first guest we have here on Blues Focus Live Lounge. We're going to go through a few things together. So the main thing is with you is just talking about current players, how we think they're fitting in, and are they making their places worth being their place, sort of thing, if that makes sense. Well, the first chat we've had one previously about Bielik. Give us your thoughts. What's going on with Christian at the minute?
Yeah, he's just under Rooney and yesterday under Mowbray. He's just he's not good enough on the ball for how both of those managers wanted to play. Obviously, Rooney's football wasn't great in the end, but even transitioning into how Mowbray is looking like how he's going to play and set up his team, he's just not good enough with his distribution. He's not quick enough on the turn. You know, yesterday there was plenty of moments where in the crowd I heard everyone just tell him to, get on with it, hurry up. He just wasn't great. And this season, he, apart from at the start under Eustace, where ball playing wasn't really part of his job, he's been quite poor so far.
Yeah, I agree. The crowd were getting on him a little bit yesterday. There was a few points where Stansfield, Hogan, they were through if he was just passing that ball, and he just did that little bit too long. He got tackled, he lost possession, or he just passed it sideways or back. And I think the real difference was when we saw JJ come on, and Bakuna, they were looking to quick, short passes, and I think under a Tony Mowbray team, that's what's needed. So for you, does the Blues look at getting rid of him, or do we look at keeping him for squad depth and bringing him in for different games where we need to sit further back? Because like you said, under Eustace, when we were playing that defensive formation and he was able to distribute out, it was a lot better, but this high pressing, I don't think he's fast enough now.
No, he's not good enough for that. Obviously, in terms of his own game, he is really good on the defensive side. Like we do need him. But with yesterday, for the whole 90 minutes, he just wasn't cutting it. And like you said, he can do a job in those games where maybe we get a goal early on, and we need to sit back and kind of, play the game out. He'd be perfect for that. But in quite a fast-paced, well, in the first half it was fast-paced, but in a fast-paced game like yesterday, where he needs to be quick with his decision-making, he just shouldn't. Yeah, the thing is, I kind of struggle on who we could replace him with, because if you look at teams in the Championship, there's not many that do have like a ball playing number 6. Really, it's only the top teams. Like Leeds have Ethan Ampadu, who I think's excellent, but at the moment we wouldn't be able to get a player like that in. So it is quite hard. And also with Bielik, when we've played without him, like when he had the suspension after the Plymouth game, we were kind of missing him at the same time. So it's quite a hard situation where he isn't he isn't good enough going forward. But without him, our midfield's just nothing.
And I've seen that, because if you watch, the difference between watching on TV and watching at the games is you can watch individual players when they're not necessarily on the ball. I always find the relationship between Sunjic and Bielik quite entertaining, really, because Sunjic will just run everywhere.
Yeah.
And Bielik is constantly telling him to get back into position. And I think that's where we didn't have Bielik in those games, we just didn't have anybody really going, where's the midfield? Like he does bring that expertise, like let's tie it in. But in terms of breaking lines, all that sort of stuff, I know Tony Mowbray did say that he wants people to be turning on the ball, going forward, and with the results that we've had and the team's down on a little bit of inspiration, that the mentality isn't there at the moment. He wants to breed in these habits into a football, as he keeps calling them, is that turning on the ball and keeps going. So we know he can do it. I think he's just taking a beating like a lot of the team has.
Yeah, he seems like he's low on confidence as well, which isn't. That is obviously most of the team at the moment after the whole, the Rooney fiasco. But yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, yesterday with Swansea, there was one point where I really noticed a difference in that kind of like quality with Bielik, where he can't turn quick on the ball. I think it was their number 8, Matt Grimes, who picked it up, and I don't know who completely missed him and slid down. It might have been Bielik himself, but he picked up the ball, quick turn, and played it forward, and that's clearly what Mowbray wants from his centre midfielders. So, yeah.
There was one ball that Bielik should have passed through to Hogan, through on goal.
It was in that first half, wasn't it?
And Mowbray nearly pulled his own head off. He was literally like he saw the ball, everybody saw it, and it was just frustrating. The whole crowd got on him straight away. But turning about the that I was just about to go to this. It wasn't necessarily about him always taking too long. His head was down, and I think the same with Sanderson at the moment. Their heads down, and they're just playing the ball at their feet. Sanderson at the beginning of the season was pinging far balls, like looking up, knowing Dembele is going to be on the opposite wing, or knowing that Laird would be up there. And we were able to play those balls out with intent because they looked up for where it is. Where I think at the moment they're just like they're being so hammered for not keeping possession that they just want to get the ball as close to their feet and pass it to the next nearest guy. And I think that's something that we definitely need to go back to doing. And I think Mowbray could bring that out of them. Yeah. Speaking of Sanderson, he's having a bit of a wobble. What are your thoughts?
I think, with Sanderson, it's just those individual mistakes. He's been more prone to them this season, obviously since Rooney came in. That one at Plymouth, that was cost us the game. Well, the red cost us the game, but that didn't help. But I do like Sanderson, and we can't. He needs to stay in the team. He needs to build his confidence back up because we know now how good he can be. So he just needs to get get out of this kind of bumpy run of form. And I think what might help, depending on if Mowbray is going to keep Long next to him, is having Long, because at the start of the season under Eustace, he developed that relationship with Long so well, and it was brilliant. Obviously, Rooney came in. He fancied trying Iwu for a few games, and I thought Iwu was okay. He's obviously better on the ball and a bit quicker with the ball in comparison to Long. But Long is he's brilliant in the air. He's strong. And like I said, it was breaking up that relationship with Sanderson. Didn't help Sanderson himself.
It's no coincidence in the last two games where Long's been in, we've looked so much more solid at the back. There was a few individual errors yesterday that led to goals as almost becoming the normal for Blues at the moment. But I think they just look so much more solid. And the two of them together, you see every time the ball goes out, they're like banging heads with each other. They're just like, yeah, you've got this. And I think when Sanderson is having to be captain and rally other people, I think he needs to be rallied himself to rally. When he's got Long next to him, he's just like, yeah, come on, let's go. And then he's like clapping at people, where when the pressure's all on him, I think it's too much for him.
I completely agree. Someone's just put in the comments, Sanderson isn't a captain. And I there we go. And I think that's, at the moment, he isn't. He can be.
Yeah.
He does have leadership qualities, but like you said, he needs someone to spur him along as well to get the best out of him.
Yeah. And we saw under Eustace that he can be a leader. He can do that. But also, you've got to do that even in the bad games, even when the crowd's on your back, even when things aren't going your way. You need to be able to step up, steer clear, and really rally that team. Like, forget what's going on outside of this bubble. We're on the pitch. We need to play. We need to focus, and you need to rally up. The last player we'll talk about, Callum, Scotty Hogan. What are your thoughts there with Scotty?
He's a very touchy subject, isn't he? Very controversial within the fans. I think that in the first half yesterday, I do think he was brilliant, to be fair, with his pressing. Obviously, he got the assist for the Dembele goal as well.
And should have had that second one.
What did you say? Sorry,
that little flick through for Dembele where he missed that. How he missed that, I don't know. But
the start of the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a different story. But Hogan in the first half was brilliant, but he's not the number 9 we need, in my opinion. He's not prolific, This season, I know he hasn't been given a lot of game time, completely phased out under Rooney. But earlier on in the season, he just missed crucial chances. I mean, was it a penalty against? Was it Millwall? Was it the Millwall game? He missed the pen.
Yeah,
Millwall at home. He's just, I think Stansfield is much more of a better finisher than Hogan, and I think it's Hogan's time's up, really.
That's absolutely
despite him really coming into it in that first half, but he's not a goal scoring striker, and you need one to climb up the Championship.
And Rob is spot on here, and I think I'm going to base this on what I think Tony Mowbray's vision was yesterday for having Stansfield and Hogan up front. They both chase like hounds. And when Scotty Hogan's got that hunger in him, he's chasing and chasing. But then you've got Stansfield to score goals. And if he wants to play the front foot football, then I think you need that hounding at the front from two fast players. Chris, Stansfield is, in my opinion, not a winger, but that is where he's asked Tony Mowbray to play. He's asked him to play him out wide because he likes coming in and inside. So Stansfield actually asked for that. Tony Mowbray, he asked. Tony Mowbray said it in his interview after the game yesterday that That's where Stansfield asked to be played. Personally, put that guy as close to the box as possible because he just gets it, shoots and scores.
I feel like he might have asked that because whenever you watch him in the past few weeks when Rooney was still here, he was very frustrated how little he'd get the ball.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing maybe he thought if he got on the wing, he'd get the ball more, try and create a bit more. But I do think he should be our number 9. Really,
it's when you're looking at the situation where you've got him running down the wing and then you've got Scott Hogan in the middle. You're like, these are the wrong way round.
You wish you'd be the other way around. Yeah.
Hogan get that ball in for Stansfield to smack it in, but
I mean, I'm all up for giving Hogan a chance. Like, I know he can score goals.
Yeah.
Not too many. I think, the most he's got for us in the season's 10, but I think he's only got 1 so far. So
Stansfield's on 7 already. So for me,
exactly. It's a no-brainer, really, when you think about it. But yeah.
But Callum, it's time for us to wrap up with you now. I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you for coming on and giving us your opinions. And keep right on.
Keep right on.
All the best.
All the best.
So we're just going to touch through a few comments before we get the next guest on. The way that we are playing at the moment is a mixture, I think, from my opinion on the way he set up, was a mixture between solidity at the back that we had under Eustace and then this front foot football that we're trying to push with Rooney. And I think he went with that with the fast strikers. So every team needs a Bielik, first midfielder we've had in years that can control the game and distribute the ball. Yes, he can when he gets his head up, but he's just not got it. His brain isn't in the game as much as it needs to be at the moment, Mark. I think his confidence is just a little bit down. And I think the way Mowbray is as a guy, he's going to drill that out of these players quite fast and get these players really believing in what they can do again. And exactly with this comment here that Mowbray said again, he doesn't want players passing backwards. It's an easy pass and it's a losing pass. Keep passing backwards, where he wants us to be turning players, taking them on. He wants the left back running 50 yards up the field to take them on, to put pressure on, and rather than just looking to get the ball and then get rid of it because they don't want the blame if anything goes wrong, he wants them to be progressive and attacking. And I'm all down for that. Get Michael Obafemi from Burnley. Be a good little sign-in, nice little ball player, quick. Could he come in and fit in the part? How much would he be? Does it work? We don't know. And that's the questions that we got to keep moving on with. Let's get our second guest on now. As we're introducing him, I'll reply to this. So, would fans really choose to get Sunjic over Bielik? Sunjic is a headless chicken and gives away unnecessary corners like yesterday. Correct, he does. But do you know how much that guy saves? Some of the tackles he puts in and the effort that guy puts in is huge. He does play some great passes as well. But again, he's someone who's on a lot of money. And he could be going in the summer because his contract's up. Do we renew it? I am unsure, in all honesty, if we renew it, if he's going to be on the same sort of money. But who is going to come in and replace him? That's more money there. So that's the questions. We can't just loan everybody. We do need to buy some players. But I think at the moment, this transfer window is going to be about holding on to what we've got, I think, is the most important thing this window. And if we can bring in a few cheeky little players, then so be it. It's going to be a cold night for sure. I'm going to go 2-0 Birmingham after watching the game the other day. I think we played well with the team and the selection we had, but moving forward, we're playing a different way now. So we're going to get Ken on now as a guest and get him in, and we'll have a little bit of conversation with Ken and see how we go. So, hi Ken, welcome to Blues Focus Live Lounge.
Hi Kieran.
How are you? You okay?
Yeah, we're good. All good, thank you. Best of luck with this one.
It's a new challenge for us, so we'll see how this goes. There's lots and lots of comments coming in, so it's just trying to keep up with everything. With you, Ken, what are your thoughts going forward?
I think it's worth mentioning, the first impressions of Tony Mowbray, and I think that the timing of him been having a disagreement with the Sunderland board was definitely Blues' gain. It's he's the best man for the fit, and when they mentioned about them going through a rigorous process to interview, I think people have been won over that he definitely is the right person for the job. He just oozes honesty, integrity, and his track record and his experience just speaks volumes. But what I have noticed about him in his first week since he's been at the Blues is that his efforts to try to galvanise the entire organisation. At Henley on his first interview, he singled out everyone from the sports science, the coaches, to the chef, to the canteen staff. And if you're working in that environment and you feel wanted and you feel a part of the bigger picture, then it's you go along with whatever Tony Mowbray believes in it. And just looking at the video on his arrival at Blues yesterday, I thought it was just fantastic that he shakes hands. He took time to shake hands with the stewards. Now the stewards were a little bit taken aback by that, and I know it's just little small things, but it's about trying to create a unity and a togetherness throughout the whole club, and the fans will connect with that and every level of the organisation.
That's a big thing. I think we had a very together unit under Eustace, and it was getting better because we were very disbanded after the Chinese ownership, and then we've come through and started coming together under Eustace. But him to come in and the first thing he's saying is, "This food is awesome." Yeah. I've said hello to the chefs and everybody, and he's just a people person. That 27-minute interview, I saw how long it was, and I was like, okay, let's work my way through this. And that 27 minutes went, and I could have listened for another 27 minutes. The guy is just a normal guy who loves football and really just wants to work. He's an old school manager that just gets it. People management is the first thing that Wayne Rooney didn't have. He doesn't manage anybody. He didn't say hello. He didn't wave at fans. He didn't do nothing to build his reputation at the club. He stood there. I think Mowbray said more to the players in the first 7 minutes yesterday than Rooney did probably in his whole time he was there. He was so animated, and just as the understanding he's got of the game is huge for me.
Yeah.
And what do you think his philosophies are that are going to rub off onto the players that he could bring into the club?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's not going to happen overnight. We've seen improvements over the short space of time that he's had to work with the players. And I also like the fact that his priority was to get to Henley and work with the players on the grass, see what they're all about, assess the squad, and make his own mind up who's going to be the starting 11 and who's going to be on the bench. It wasn't the fanfare of the big reveal, on the first day. That could wait. That waited to Thursday as normal. Yeah. And I think that patience and that priority now going forward is going to be really important. I think we need to remember that it was less than 12 months ago that it was all BSLH out, that was trending all over Twitter. we've come a long way in 12 months, and the board, they've recognised that they've made a mistake, and all good organisations, if they make a mistake and they react and they change that direction, it's part of that growth, and making that decision when Mowbray was available, I hope it's going to be a masterstroke, because he's one of the best managers in the Championship. He's certainly the best manager we have ever had for a generation, I would say. And I think he's going to go on. And I don't think a 2.5-year contract, I hope a 2.5-year contract isn't going to be enough. I think that, we'll hopefully extend that, and we'll get the stability that we need at Blues, and we haven't seen for a long, long time. I
think the biggest thing to mention about Tony Mowbray is look at his previous club's fans. If you hashtag Mowbray on Twitter, it is literally loads of Sunderland fans going, we should have never sacked him. The board never backed him. You're getting West Brom fans going, he was great when he was with us. The guy is just loved everywhere he's been, and he's brought people together, and that's what we are. And coming in, not mentioning those who should not be named in his first interview, but mentioning enough about them, saying, I know other teams are doing better around at the moment, was kind of like a big plus for so many fans. I saw people saying he acknowledged it, but he didn't mention it. And he just knows we're a working class club. We just want people that give 100% for the shirt, put some tackles in, and really get the crowd cheered up. Whether we win every game, Birmingham fans don't want to win every game. That would be boring. We want players that are just getting stuck in and really playing for the shirt and giving their all. That's why Duke's such a legend for us. He's just given everything, every game he's ever played for us, and he keeps pulling out the bag worldy headers. Don't give it him at his feet, but he'll do what he do with his head. The differences that you've seen, Ken, between watching under Rooney and watching under Mowbray for his first game. I know it's only been 5 days he's been manager, but how did you see the differences?
I think the players were clearly asked to do something that they wasn't comfortable with. They were asked to play out from the back, through the middle, go through the transition, and I don't think there's any secret about. There has been players that have fallen out of favour with Rooney, and they were just bombed out. And I think yesterday's the way that we were set up yesterday, we were still trying to play out from the back, but when the time was right. And when Sanderson put a crossfield ball to Dembele, fantastic. It opened it up. We didn't need to play through the middle. He put one over the top and got their fullbacks to turn, face their own goal. And when you've got pace on the wings, Stansfield and Dembele, if Hogan can cut the back pass off to the keeper, then it opens up a corner or a throw-in, or it gives the fullback something to think about. So that variation, I think we were too drilled to say we're always going to look for possession. We're always going to try to place the feet through the middle. But it's that variety, and that's giving teams something else to think about. And as a defender, the first defend, clear your lines and defend. And there's no nonsense from Long. If he needs to put his laces through it, he will. And the same as with Stansfield, with Sanderson as well. And I think that's first and foremost is to protect your 18-yard box and defend. I think Rooney was just trying to do something they were uncomfortable. And Mowbray's come in and he's been a little bit more pragmatic, and he's looked at the squad, and he's going to get the best out of that squad for their strengths. And there was lots of things that we could improve upon on yesterday's performance. I think the small margins and the lack of concentration in areas, that was there's so many examples. We had a throwing down on the paddock by the tunnel, and it was that they pushed out, and within one touch we were offside. And you get into good positions like that. Mayoshi had a corner. A corner that put a lot of effort in to get that corner, and the delivery was poor, and it cleared everyone, and they cleared the lines, and So I think that those examples where a lack of concentration, the free header on their first goal, no one tracked, no one got touch tight, no one stopped the run. It was just too easy.
Why is Miyoshi marking their best header of the ball?
It was just so easy. So, but we've got lots to work on. I don't want to be negative on the first game, and but we've just got to be patient. I think that's the message at the moment. Is we'll see slow improvements, but there will be improvements.
Yeah, this comment here, Pritchard from Sunderland would be great. He works well. He knows Mowbray, knows the way he works, and that could really the character is needed in that group, and it really pushed the game forward. But is it as simple as fixing one person, two people, or do we need to bring some more of the youth in? We know Tony Mowbray is an expert for the youth. We've got people like Dixon banging in goals for fun in the under 21s. Do we bring him in and for a game against Hull like this, and really show can he cut it at the adult level? Is Hull, in your opinion, Ken, almost a free shot for Mowbray to try something different, see different players, and use the cup as a free game? Or do you think he'll want to push on in the cup?
I think we should all want to push on in the cup. I think the extra games, if we were in and around the playoffs, then the extra games wouldn't be welcome. But I think where Mowbray is in his tenure, he'll want those extra games to get a view of, different formations and what players will give him. Putting on an academy player who's shining in the academy from the start, I'm not so sure. I think if we were 2-0 up and comfortable, then bring it in. But, Tony Mowbray's experience, he'll know when the time is right to bring in these young lads, and when they can do a job, because you wouldn't want to bring someone in that's out the depth at that one game, has a bad game, for whatever reason, we get beat and we've lost the opportunity and it knocks his confidence. But I think with Tony Mowbray, we've got a manager that will know when the time's right to bring on players and to get some minutes on these players.
I know he said he wanted Keshi Anderson on.
Absolutely.
He said that in his after review, it'd be interesting to see Keshi Anderson. I think someone like him and Laird, even Buchanan. Buchanan is great, but he did mention yesterday he wants him to run 50 yards down the field with a ball if the space go. Then those sort of players are going to be fundamental. We got two great left backs in Anderson and Buchanan. They're exciting players. They could really fit in a Tony Mowbray team. And Keshi Anderson, the other side, doing what he does best up the front. So we've got a few players that will fit into a Mowbray team. It's just now trying to get them to work together and then integrating, which he didn't have at Sunderland, experience with that youth. And I think that's where Tony Mowbray will come into his fore. He did say we'll just take it like a next game, and also he can have a look at other players. Yeah, so from that comment, Rob, I presume you're taking it as he's going to come out with a strong team and just go for the win, regardless of if it's the cup or not. It's not a free game for him.
I hope he does. I hope he does. Give it the respect, and he comes out with a strong team. I'd like to see Drama come in on a permanent as well and to free up another loan spot, because I think when you mentioned fullbacks there, Drama hasn't put a foot wrong, and I think he's someone else that could play further up the pitch as well, or push Laird further up the pitch. So we've got some great players in wide positions, but I have to agree with them. With Callum, that central midfielder and the centre forward positions for January would be the two areas that I think we'd need to strengthen. So
I know we chatted about it in before, but your one realistic purchase for us would be who?
Well, I'm not sure if it's realistic now. He's scoring for fun, but Che Adams. But I don't think. I mean, earlier on in the season when he was struggling for a game, maybe, but I don't think that's realistic now. Maybe Southampton look to hold their players that are bagging for them. But Mowbray knows that division, and he'll know from his connections from Blackburn, from Sunderland, and from Southampton as well, with connections at Southampton. He'll know who's available, and he'll know what teams in the Prem are likely to offer up players as well. So
Sunderland has a great academy as well, like a great academy. So he's got first-hand knowledge of some of them. We might be able to get them cheap and build them for the future.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of history and connections with Blues Academy as well, isn't there, with the personnel?
Yeah, Jude, and now the Welsh Jude Bellingham himself, JJ, coming in and scoring goals. But
yeah, Ken, I was thinking more of the staff, in Speakman and
Ken, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for coming on and joining us. Thank you for everything, and we'll speak to you again soon. Thank you, Ken.
Kieran.
Keep right on.
Thank you.
Mick, I think you're absolutely right. We have no chance of Shea coming back, but we have missed that character, that through on goal that we haven't had since Shea left. And Stansfield has given us that hope at the beginning of the season, but playing him out on the wide, I just don't think we get that Stansfield that we had on Shea Adams. Better chance of getting O'Hare in the summer than Shea Adams. I can't think of who O'Hare is at the moment, so I don't know who that is. So maybe the reason why we'd be better off getting him. Can't go backwards and buy old players. Correct. We need the young youth. That's what the board announced. That's what Craig Gardner said. He wanted the young players coming in and growing into our team, and then we can sell them on for a profit or get the best out of them in their main years. Tony Mowbray touched on it as well. What we do not want to be doing is selling our younger players. And I think that was a big statement for him to come in and go, yeah, I know JJ's got all these rumours, but unless he comes and knocks on my door and tells me he wants to leave, I'd like him to stay here. I don't want to be selling my youth. And I think that was a strong statement from him. Not directly to the board, but a kind of, hey, I'm here and I want him here. We're going to get on to the next guest now. We've got Paul coming on straight into another guest.
Evening, Kieran.
Evening, Paul. How are you? You okay? Oh, you've disappeared.
Oh, I'm back again.
There you are.
Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Much appreciated.
No, thank you for coming on. Obviously, the first live lounge we've had, so you're part of history.
I know, yeah. I'm always happy to do that.
Obviously, part of the Council family, which is Blues Focus history anyway. We're going to switch things up a little bit, aren't we, Paul? We're going to talk a little bit about the Oakview group coming in.
Yeah.
What that could mean. What are your thoughts on this? You mentioned this as your subject, so I'm going to lean a little bit more on you here. I've done my basic homework today.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting that I'm an expert on any of those things. So I was just sort of an outside looking in point of view, really. But obviously, you've talked a lot about sort of on-pitch kind of things so far, and I kind of tend to agree with much of what's being said as well. And yeah, it's good to get people's thoughts on where that's going. And obviously, Mowbray coming in, I think is like people have said already, I think he's a big plus for us. I think having an experienced manager now is important. So I think the sort of the short term on the pitch, I guess, is, make sure we stabilise in the division, stay where we are. This January window will be really interesting, won't it? So just to see.
You think we're going to have a quiet window, Paul, and then a big splurge in the summer, or would you?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of both in that, isn't there? Really, I think we need some players in to just help us see the season through a bit more comfortably. So I think there will be some players coming in. I'd like to think that they will keep hold of Jordan James. I think that would be a big plus for all of us to show that actually we're no longer a club that's kind of just going to certainly sell at sort of low prices. And what we'd do with that money in this January window, I'm not entirely sure, even if we got good money, because players tend not to be available, do they, in January? So my thoughts would be that they'd bring players in rather than let players go. Because
would you take a risk on someone like Jesse Lingard?
Well, I was chatting about this actually earlier, really, because we spend all our lives just talking about Blues. Yeah. So, no, it was a bit mixed from what I can gather. I mean, I tended to go on the side of thinking, well, it might be an interesting one to give us a bit of experience, a bit of quality, and whatever. And I know he's had his issues in recent years, etc. So, I think other people thought, it might just be, probably not worth pursuing. But something like that might be, it might be interesting to Mowbray. Put him back on track. He's clearly got qualities. Where he's at the moment, I don't know.
Attitude, though. That's he was more interested in TikToks and being Instagram famous than he was playing football when he was a professional footballer. But I think that his attitude changed recently. He's been posting a lot in the gym. He's sacked his agents because he wants to get back to playing regular football.
Yeah. I read that.
You don't do that if you're still trying to get Instagram famous. For me, maybe he's in this change where he's like, I've only got a few years left. Can we do it? Is he worth a risk if he's on a cheap?
I think
he's free anyway.
Yeah, that's one for the comments, I think, isn't it? People on there, whether they think that might be worth a risk. I've certainly been an interesting one for Mowbray to sort of weigh up, really. Would he add something to us and see us through a short-term contract to the end of the season? And I think that is the thinking at the moment, isn't it, really? We just need to think kind of short-term on the pitch.
Bring him in for 6 months if it works. Offer him someone else if it doesn't.
Yeah, get us through the season. I think the season's, almost like 3 seasons in one now, isn't it? Obviously, we started with Eustace. Then there's that kind of period with Rooney, and now we're with Mowbray. It just feels like we restart all the time.
3 in 3 months, and I read it like that.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's not great.
Doesn't sort of smack of stability, does it? Really, when you're swapping and changing managers and things like that. So I think this season, I wouldn't say it's a write-off necessarily, because I think it's going to be important. But I think we just need to see ourselves through to the end of the season and finish as high up the table as we can. And interestingly, I think the cup game on Tuesday actually could be an important game for us in many ways. We've started with a draw when perhaps we should have won that game. I think winning breeds winning, and I think if we can win the game against Hull, it takes us into the game against Stoke away on Saturday, in a better place. I think if we go and we've got a defeat, we're still in that period where wins are really difficult for us. So I think winning is winning, and I think we need to get back to that. So short term, like you've all been chatting, I think you're spot on, and some of the things we're talking about. The only other one I would say about Stansfield, obviously being a lone player, I think that's interesting. It feels to me a little bit from watching the games, it's a little bit like we don't quite know how to get the best out of him. Yeah. We've seen flashes of brilliance, and then we've seen other games where he kind of doesn't really figure too much, and you play him through the middle, and sometimes he looks a bit lost through the middle. He's played wider, and sometimes he's looked more dangerous coming in, and so it's trying to get that. But again, you'd put faith in Mowbray as a manager to try and get the best out of young players like Stansfield, because he's relatively inexperienced still, isn't he? Really, I mean, he had a season at Exeter. This is his first season in the Championship, and playing game after game, week after week. He's it's a learning curve for him, isn't it? So he's definitely got something about him, and let's hope they can get enough out of him while he's still with us.
I found really interesting yesterday that Hogan, Miyoshi, Dembele, and Stansfield, they could really almost interchange fluidity at the front and really change things around. I know Hogan was the main forefront at the front, but I think if sometimes you stick Hogan out a little bit and push them in, that way they're all expending energy equally rather than it being one person. I think where Stansfield struggled is where he's the one at the front that's just running around. He's making himself tired. So when he's actually getting the ball, he's already done for, rather than him being able to spread his energy through several people. Miyoshi yesterday was just running around at the top. That guy's got Sunjic level energy. And with that press, they can all do it. And if they're spreading that main 2 front press out, I think it could be a really exciting time.
See, there's two things there for me. Obviously, nowadays we have 5 subs, so that makes a difference in terms of what you're asking for the players for that first half and the first part of the second half. Because if you're asking them to expend more energy, they're obviously going to run out of steam as the game goes on, and that's where you need to use your subs really well. Now, clearly, I think that one of the criticisms of John Eustace is he never used his substitutes in a really effective way to change the game. And obviously, Mowbray made some changes yesterday, didn't he, as well? I'm not sure quite how that worked, really. I'm not sure if it helped us or didn't help us. But clearly, with Jordan James coming on, he provides that kind of energy and power in the latter part of the game. So a player coming off. So I think that's going to be. But then in terms of Hogan, I would say I've never really been a great fan of Hogan, but I think I've gone a bit full circle on him in terms of, well, actually at the moment, in terms of a number 9 that plays through the middle, he's probably our best option because at least he is a number 9. And if we can get chances to him in the box is where I would say. So that's where we need to be higher.
As long as they're not one-on-one.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have time to think, is his thing, isn't it? He's an instinctive poacher almost, Hogan, isn't he? He can nick things, he can get across the front post. But when you give him time or you're asking him to run with the ball from the halfway line upwards, he's always going to struggle in that way. That I don't think that's the best, getting the best out of him. And again, going back to Mowbray, I think that's what he's tasked with really, is getting the best out of each of those players, whether it's Kevin Long, whether it's Dembele or Stansfield, Hogan. These are the players that he needs to try and get the best out of. And if he does that, then I think we'll be pretty comfortable, really. I think we'll do okay. And we kind of have to write off the season that could have been a little bit more positive in the hope, like you say, that in the summer we will have money to spend and bring in people on longer term contracts that fit the sort of the overall aim of how we want to play to go forward. Because ultimately, if we're going to constantly just battle every year, just finding sticking plasters to keep us where we are, we've never got any long term sort of gains to try and make us move forward. And we do need to progress, to be fair, because other clubs in the last 10, 11 years have progressed both on and off the pitch, and we're playing catch up even with our peers in that division, and it's really difficult. So I know you mentioned Oakview there in terms of the off the pitch things.
Yeah.
But the way that I saw that really was that a partnership with an organisation that's obviously well renowned around the world around developing more commercial income for the club, I think is again another massive step in the right direction. So sort of medium longer term, I think they have got ambitions to do something with the club. We don't know the full picture of that at the moment. But Gary Cook, I think, had spoken recently about the need to bring more commercial income in. If we want to start spending on players, we need more money coming through the door. And from what I can see from the partnership with Oakview, they are being tasked a little bit with how can we generate more income into the club, whether that's naming rights for the stadium, naming rights for the training grounds, etc. And then I guess longer term, they are a stadium and infrastructure builder. And so that would sort of indicate that maybe we are looking at a future away from where we are at the stadium at the moment. And I guess that's a bit contentious, isn't it, in some respects? But I think that's the longer term ambition of the club, is to be somewhere different. Because without that, I guess we're going to go through this same cycle of rinse and repeat, isn't it? We struggle to stay up, and then we get optimistic again in the summer. We bring some players in, we struggle in the middle of the year, and then we just about stay up. And I don't know if that's kind of enough to build the club, really.
So what I like about since the owners have come in, and the first thing they've said is, we want to spend as much money as possible. However, we need to make money first. Now, I was looking into this Oakview group today as to a few of the different projects they've done. First things first, when you read their About Us on their website, it literally says that they're a Los Angeles-based company that offers the Arena and Stadium Alliance, consulting, sponsorship and partnerships, venture capital and global facilities. So they're linked with loads of different companies. One of their biggest projects they've had to date is selling sponsorship for the Las Vegas Sphere. Now, they brought in £17.5 billion worth of sponsorship into their corporations. They know a few people. They know a few things about naming rights. Every single sponsor that we have somewhere for something gives us more money. More money means better players. It means we can keep hold of our youth academy players that are like JJ or people like Dixon, because if he keeps doing what he is, you're going to have other big teams looking at him in the summer going, we need to get him whilst he's cheap and he's not on a proper contract and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
That stops us being a selling club. If we start bringing in the money in revenue in different ways, we don't have to sell our players to make the money to make financial fair play. And I think that's a big thing for us. The one thing that Cook said that got the whole fans on buzzing was the fact that he says they've got a track record which is second to none, especially in maximising naming rights and ancillary benefits on existing stadiums and new builds.
Yeah, exactly.
That last little bit of that sentence, I think, was everybody going, we're getting a new stadium. That's it. But if you look at how he brought them, he worked with them coming into the Manchester City setup. He brought them in and they've arranged and completed the Etihad campus that they have. So it's not just a stadium, it's the whole area around the stadium. They've got training facilities. They've got that new Co-op Live arena, fully managed by the OVG group.
Yeah.
For those in the comments that don't know what that is, it's the largest music first venue in the UK. And it's basically an American-style venue with a 23,500 capacity. But instead of being built out like we're used to in the UK, so your cheap tickets are really far away, they build up with concourses at the back. So you're sat a lot closer to the artist, but you just sat from a higher view. That has 32 bars and restaurants in it as well for a 23,000 capacity. Every one of those things brings money in. Do you think they'd be looking at something like that as a commercial building for a stadium rather than a typical football stadium that we'd be used to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously US investments, they're keen to get involved in English football. I heard recently somebody said they don't like the jeopardy in it, the relegation stuff, because that don't really happen in US sports. But one of the things they do build with infrastructure, like you say, is that it's not just going to be something that's standalone. They would see the whole regeneration of an area, and that built into that is your commercial opportunities. So like you say, like venues for sporting, but also alongside that, you'd have entertainment, and then there'd be, hospitality and other things that continue bringing in. Because I think the aim there is to make the football club sustainable. So, we're not going to get that just by, the selling tickets. So you buy a ticket, that's not going to make enough if we want to go and compete, and be the sort of, unleash the potential of a club the size of Birmingham City. So I think they realise that. So I think longer term, as much as we're focused on the short term, bringing in a partnership like that, I think should get the fans excited to the point where you think, well, actually the most important thing is on the pitch, but they are directly related, because the more we can bring in there, clearly, the more we can invest in the academy, we can invest in the first team. You can bring in better, coaching, better sports science, better performance. Everything about the club, I think, is trying to sort of improve on what we've got. So sort of, improving every section of that club will ultimately provide a better experience for us as supporters. So it is an exciting thing. And I guess, I don't know how far down the line we're looking with some of this. Some of it might be quite short term, naming rights, etc., different commercial sponsors. And then eventually I think they are looking at working with the council about regeneration of Birmingham. And it's interesting you mentioned the Etihad campus there, because that is a campus, isn't it? Because there's a university there. There's all sorts of sporting organisations are based from there. I think they're even talking about building a women's football academy there as well now. So, they have their own training. They've already got their own stadium.
They've got a sports science university there.
That's right, yeah.
And so they've developed, I think they're generating the future for their own teams.
Exactly, yeah. And the whole of that east side of Manchester, which was kind of needed regeneration, has now been regenerated with, housing and apartments and seafront things. So, and obviously the club are then built into the community. They develop a lot of community aspect, and that's another part I think that the Blues looking at through Jeremy Dale. They're looking at how we bring those other groups together. So it's a really, really exciting time. I think it's sort of a once in a generation thing for the club, and we need to sort of grab hold of that. And sort of hopefully, for the future generations of supporters of the club, which probably is going to be beyond my tenure as a supporter, but for the future, you're going to have something really exciting to be part of. That legacy can continue, can't it? We can keep all the things that we've built
as well. I was speaking to a American friend of mine who's not really into soccer, but he said what he doesn't understand is how can you have 5 teams from one place? Like they have generally one basketball team from that area and they do everything. They have one baseball team from that area and they do everything. And that is that whole community. Everybody from there supports them. And I think from the way Tom Wagner's come in and said, Birmingham City holds the name, and this won't just be Birmingham City's growth, it will be the whole city's growth. And then they've done little things already. They've gone out to all the children around and given all those presents out at Christmas. Something so little that's stupid and not a lot of us would think about, but some of those Birmingham children will be like, oh, Birmingham City looked after me. They'll become Birmingham City fans. Long term, could produce a whole new set of fans.
Well, the details matter, don't they? You know, the small things really make it go a long way. And the fact that they're working across various sides of it all goes to show, I think, that they're here for the long term. I mean, I think we need to be under no illusions as well that they are clearly, obviously investors into a sports thing. You know, they are hedge fund managers. You know, they'll want a return on their money at some point as well. But the only way they're going to get returns on that is investing in the club in the right way to grow it. And obviously, we could, potentially be a Premier League football club, and that's where I think they see the future for us. And maybe it's a little bit unnerving for fans at the minute because we spent 12 years, literally sort of dragging along the bottom of non-existence, and all of the kind of sell the club and getting rid of the Chinese owners who are still kind of there in the background, by the way. They've not completely gone yet. So, I mean, that's still something we need to sort of keep an eye on as well. But the fact that we've been doing that for so long, it feels unusual for us to be talking in these kind of lofty, ambitious ways. But I think the fact that they're signalling their intent in terms of we're going to work with this group to look into this, I think should give us real optimism. And I think they recognise they made a mistake with bringing Wayne Rooney in. But people make mistakes in business all the time, don't they? And what you need to do is just act swiftly, rectify it and move forward. And clearly they've done that, which is great because, again, previously, we've seen with previous ownerships, we've let that kind of linger on. And that's harmed us. We've needed to act more decisively as well. So, there's changes happening across the club as well. And, for me as a long-term supporter, from a young age, it's great to see. I'm as excited now as I was when I first started going to the games. And, we love going to the games as people can see from when we travel around in Tommy Films and stuff. But, I'm as excited as I've ever been, really.
It's exciting times. For me, I learned an analogy very early on in my business career that you cannot build a skyscraper without laying a house's worth of foundations. And that's essentially what we're doing at the moment, is getting rid of all of the sand and the dead rocks that have been below us and all the sodden, horrible ground. And they're having to dig down, clear out before they can really put in. But then they need to make the money back that they're spending to clear out all that dead wood and land to then build the foundations for the skyscraper that they believe in. And their enthusiasm as owners and as Americans, they're the most enthusiastic people in the world.
Yeah, infectious, aren't they, really? I think they're enthusiasm. I mean, Tony Mowbray mentioned, didn't he, that meeting Tom Wagner, he felt that infectious, that kind of passion for the club. People call it a project. I'd say we're a football club. So, but that's an Americanism, I guess. But the passion for it and his ambitions for us are fantastic. So I think we need to get and support that. And I'm absolutely sure, everyone who in the fan base are doing that as well. We're an amazing fan base, that's for sure. And I think there's good times ahead.
The big thing for me is their inclusivity of everyone, and they're using different groups around the thing, that they're supporting all the academies and the schools around them as well by sending the players and the coaches into lessons for PE. There's loads of things they're doing outside of the community. I was speaking with someone who they've gone into their school for 5 days. They did a day every day and went in and did 4 hours every day of coaching with the kids in their PE lessons. So they see every person in that school.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's exactly right. I mean, and even the work they're now doing with all the various supporters groups as well. Because as a fan base, I think one thing that I've always loved about the fan base is that the fact it's big, wide, diverse, etc. But in recent years, under sort of troubled times, become really fractious, I think, and people have been sort of at each other. But that's not something that's going to be sustainable either. We know we need to come together as a fan base. So the fact they're starting to reach out to those fan groups and bring them together, and then working them into helping within the community, like you say, within community projects, just seems to me like they've got their heads screwed on with where they want to kind of take the club. And all of these, like say, the indicators suggest that they're, heading in the right direction. And as much support as we can give to them, I guess, from our perspective, I think is really important. And I'm sure that obviously the on-pitch stuff is the most important thing, no doubt about it, because that's what we all go for. We want to go and watch entertaining football, high aggressive football, which is what we all love, and we want the fans to turn up. But hopefully the off-the-pitch stuff is giving us an indication that there's better times ahead for us, in terms of that.
What do you reckon the realistic plan is, Paul? How long do you think it is there until they're hoping they're in the Prem?
Well, I don't know about the Premiership. I think they'd want that as ASAP, if I'm honest. But I think they're longer term. That American sports investors tend to go in sort of 10-year cycles, so they'd want to see a return on their money in 10 years. I think in that time they would have expected to become an established Premier League football outfit. That's the only way the business model is really going to work. And if that does include a new stadium and whatever, so I would expect that to be there as well. But in terms of the short term, like this year, I think is going to just be just stabilise where we are. But next year, I expect that they will have expectations upon the team and the manager, and to make sure that we are competing somewhere near the top of the division. And that's why I would expect us to start seeing genuinely decent footballers coming through the door, because without that, it's just not going to be possible. And I have a lot of sympathy and empathy really for some of the players sometimes, because people get on their backs about things. But if you are giving everything you've got and you're still not good enough, that's because you're just not at the level that we want the team to be at. If I wanted to play in that team, I might give everything, but that clearly wouldn't be good enough, would it? So in which case, if we're going to be a serious outfit, we need to be replacing those players with people that can do it. So I would expect some serious investment in the summer to put us somewhere back towards the top of that division. You never know, dear. It's a difficult league, and the Championship, because you've got teams coming down. You've got really strong, massive football clubs that, like you say, have had a much better 10-year period than we've had. But I think they still think that we should be in and around that sort of top 7 or 8 or whatever. And if we can knock on the door of the playoffs next year or whatever, then absolutely that would be ideal, wouldn't it? So next couple of years, I would say that I think next 2 or 3 seasons, I think they'd want us to sort of be certainly in the Premier League at some point in that.
We need to be under no illusion at all that a mid-table finish, even if it's the top of the bottom half of the table, is a huge improvement on where we've been for the last decade. If you had said to us at the beginning of the season, before Eustace's team went on that little run at the beginning, you'll finish mid-table comfortably, we'd have all took it, all of us. And that's as simple as that. It's a huge growth for us.
Absolutely, and I still think that's possible. I still think we can sort of finish reasonably mid-table. I think that is still a possibility, but we're going to have to start winning games to do that. And at the minute we're struggling to win football matches. It's funny under Rooney, wasn't it? Really, there was opportunities where that probably could have turned out slightly differently. We were 2-0 up at home to Ipswich, and we go to 2-2. Well, obviously, like I say, winning breeds winning. There's a chance we could have won those games away at Plymouth. We go to 3-1 even with 10 men. We should see that game out and win it. So, but we're finding winning games difficult at the minute. So we need to get back to winning ways, and hence why I think Tuesday against Hull, it is an important game. I think it is an important. It's good to see the players, but also if we can get a win, I think we suddenly get on a bit of a run, and we can finish more comfortably sort of in and around mid-table.
So Forbes just said there about we should worry about getting to the top 10 before we should start worrying about the Premier League. We're under no illusion, Forbes. That is where we should be going. If we get a top 10 finish, that is a season for me that we would have dreamed of at the beginning of the season. I'd put on bet every season that Birmingham are going to get promoted. I never believe it's going to come in. I then get filled with stupid amounts of anticipation just before the season. Oh, we signed all these players. We're going to do it. This is going to be our year.
Yeah,
and then we end up playing the constant football that we've been playing for the last decade, where we do okay, then we do like a good spell, then we do a bad spell, and then we really struggle to get out, and then we kind of just teeter for the rest of the season. We've done that over again.
It's really hard to be consistent in the Championship, though, because the division's quite close in many ways in terms of, I mean, if the top side beats the bottom side or the bottom side beats the top side, both situations really wouldn't come as much of a surprise. Whereas the other way around in the Premier League, you would think, well, the bottom side winning away at Manchester City is like a major kind of, upheaval in the universe, isn't it? But in the Championship, I think you can see that most teams can beat each other on a given day, and the squads are, I mean, maybe apart from Leicester this year, perhaps. So, I think you're looking at those teams and thinking, well, yeah, I mean, any game we've gone into this year, I think we could win this game. And I genuinely feel that. I feel that most times. Like, we played Ipswich, who've had a great start. I thought, I think we could, we could win this game. And, that's the challenge for next season, I think, is to start to be much more consistent and to win more games, and we've just not done that, for a long time. I think the last sort of time I can remember we've had a season where we've won a lot of games in a season was the first year back out of the Premier League under Chris Hughton, and we finished fourth. I mean, wouldn't it be great to get a fourth place finish now? It seems almost impossible, doesn't it?
Yeah. This comment here, though, it's the depth that gets us every season. Injuries to our best players to back up the poor when we slide. Yeah, that's correct. We have, the last few seasons, we've had 11 first-team players with a few others. As soon as we lose one of our first-team players, we haven't had like the depth we have now. We've got a left-back out in Ethan Laird, which previous seasons we'd have been like ruined left-back. Now we've got Buchanan there. The guy's doing great. We've got support in areas now. It's now building on that, I think, to take us forward. But I completely agree. The depth, we haven't had the money to spend the depth to get decent players.
Exactly,
backed up by decent players. We can't have a decent player sat on the bench like that. That's just not been the cost-effective way for Birmingham to do it.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, really? When you talk about kind of the money we spent or perhaps we didn't spend this summer, we've had to kind of take a chance on some of these players. So, you look at Tyler Roberts, who he's a good player, believe it or not. He certainly didn't look it yesterday today. But he is, he's a proven Championship quality player, but he's clearly not fit. He's clearly got injury issues, and same with Ethan Laird. And I guess that's why we've been able to get them there, is because they are really talented players, but they've just got injury problems. So, but come next season, we're in the summer, I think that's when we do look at spending money on proven players, and we can build that squad. You do need a squad. It's not just about the 11 anymore. Like I say, you can have 5 subs on a match day, can't you? You can really utilise that squad properly if we've got it to back up. So hopefully we'll have that.
The 5 subs is a huge thing that we need to be able to have a subs bench where we can bring them on and have game changers on there, and that's where that depth comes in. We have money, but unfortunately, because of previous years' financial fair play is still biting us in the ass. Come the summer, we can spend more, as this season will be better off and more stable.
Agreed.
Again, completely agree with that, Alan. We did have money. I think we've had to pay a fair chunk off to Rooney. O'Shea's gone on a mutual agreement, so I don't think that means we have to pay him off. But we would have had to pay Rooney a substantial fee to leave. So I think that would have dug into what some of their plan was. I think we have got money. I just don't think they want to spend it on if they're not the right players. And I think that's the difference between these owners and previous is, I've got 10 grand to spend, for example. I would rather buy 2 good players rather than 10 £1 million players. And I think that would be the difference in
certainly in the old world, when you had new owners coming in, before profits and sustainability rules were in place, then they could clearly just spend their own money. But now it's down to what the club can afford to do, because you don't want to put the club at risk. You look at Reading over the weekend, they're a club that's clearly put the whole club at existence at risk, and that the fans are really unhappy with that. But that's what those P&S rules were meant to do, stop that happening. I mean, if it was down to them as a sort of a hedge fund, they have got money to put into the club. But what they've got now is they can only really use the money that the club can generate, hence why they're trying to get sort of naming rights or sponsorship deals or other commercial driving through, so the club can make its own money and then it can put money in. We can lose, certain amounts of money over a 3-year period, but that 3-year period's coming to an end now. Hence, we can start to use more of the club's debt, I guess, to go and buy more players.
Some of the players we've got are on big wages for not great players, where we could get 2 players in slightly more expensive in maybe a purchasing fee, but their wages could be less. So in the term of a 3 or 4 year contract, it works out actually cheaper to get 2 good players in rather than one somewhat
exactly.
average.
I'm sure they'll be looking into that. I mean, we've got a recruitment team now, which is kind of like, it seems amazing that we never had one previously. We only had like one individual, I think, which was in sort of, Craig Gardner's taking the technical director role, and he's sort of ended up doing all of the recruitment work and bringing loads in, which isn't really, sort of the main aim of a technical director. But we have actually got a team of recruitment under Frank McParland, so they're doing all of that work in terms of looking and scaring to try and make sure we get the right players coming as well. Because sometimes you can buy players, but are they the right players that we need? And I don't think we've ever really understood what is it we're looking for. We've just gone, well, that person's available and we can afford them, so they come, rather than adjusting them to the plan that we want. Like now, we clearly we probably need a new goalkeeper at some point. Neil Etheridge is out of contract.
David De Gea's on a free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll have that, won't we? That'll be for sure. Yeah. But I think that's an area that needs changing. I mean, centre half, I agree, and midfield, and then we've wanted a striker since. I mean, a lot of people have mentioned Shay Adams in the comments. We've needed to replace Shay Adams, which we probably have never done. We've not really replaced Shay. Whether we can replace Shay with Shay, I think is very unlikely, if I'm absolutely honest, because he's not going to come back now, I don't think. I think he's got, other ambitions rather than coming back to Blues. But that's the kind of thing that we really need. We need to bring in players that are of a really good quality, and fill those gaps that we have got.
The goalkeeper side of things is something that a lot of people are pointing out. I think we've all got eyes, any of us that are watching the games. Ruddy was great for us last season. He's been tested a lot this season. He's not a ball player. He's not comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's a shot stopper, but I think with under Rooney, him conceding, I think it was 12 goals in 4 games. He shot, I think there's a lot. I think he's gone downhill significantly this season, and I think he's just been exposed more than.
I think so. I think with Ruddy, for me, I mean, I tend to remember John Ruddy as, I think he was in the England squad for one of the Euros. I think he was the backup keeper in the England squad, and he's obviously got a great career behind him. And then if you ever see like balls coming into the box and he's coming to catch them, I can't even think of a couple of times where he's dropped them or whatever. I mean, he's great at that. He's a little bit slower getting down now, but I guess, he's in the later part of his career now, isn't he, as well? So he's not as agile. But when he first came in, you just think, well, we've actually now got a really experienced goalkeeper. Yeah. What they're asking him to do now at this stage in his career, I don't think he's changed his goalkeeper. It just isn't fair on him in many ways, because you suddenly ask him to be a different type of goalkeeper. Yeah. And that's not the goalkeeper we recruited. We didn't recruit for that type of goalkeeper. So if we do, now when we move forward, clearly Mowbray will say, what kind of goalkeeper do we need? If it's one that's going to have to be really good with his feet, because that's how the majority of them need to be that way, let's face it. But at least we can go and sort of target the type of goalkeeper we're looking for, the age bracket, etc., experience.
I've been looking at goalkeepers, and I think the one that stands out is Marek Rodak from Fulham. Yeah. He was great for them in the Championship. He was the Championship keeper of the season. Got promotion with them. He's got a record of 114 games with 35 clean sheets. So 1 in 3 on average in the Championship. He's kept a clean sheet. His distribution is good. Okay with his feet. They built out from the back, and he commands his box like Ruddy. Comes out, does that, and he's a Lee Camp version when it comes to wasting time as well. Just the most hideous version of time wasting when you needed it to be done.
That's always a bonus, that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of those attributes, you talk about from a goalkeeper. Well, actually, I guess those are the things that they're trying to hone in on now, aren't they? To say, well, actually, this is what we need. But we need, goalkeepers. We've always had a good track record of goalkeepers at the club. So you hope that tradition will sort of continue, really, won't you? And we continue to build.
I mean, he's only 27, so that's young for a goalkeeper. I think someone like that is what we should be looking for. He's not really playing at Fulham. Could we go in and give him a go? I don't know if anybody else in the comments knows any more goalkeepers that we should be focusing on. But for me, he'd be the one I'd be looking at. He just seems a bit of an all-rounder that's just kind of wasted at Fulham at the moment as a second goalkeeper that we could take advantage of.
Yeah. I think I agree.
And Alan's just said a keeper should be a keeper and let the defence play about. No, Alan, times have changed. Unfortunately, now nobody plays the style of football of a keeper just kicks it long, comes out and demands his box. It doesn't happen. The modern day, if a team plays like that now, they just get pressed into oblivion. And Ashley Cole said something in one of his interviews about if you have a throw in, right, and you throw it forward, there's a 60% chance you lose possession. So why doesn't every team always throw it backwards and keep 100% of possession? Because within 3 passes, you could be further up the field than what you could ever throw it. That's the same now with goalkeepers playing out from the back. Rather than just kicking the ball long and hoping Duke heads it onto someone, they're now able to play out from the back, pass out, and that's the way the game has gone now, rather than you just need the defence that can play. That's our issue at the moment is...
Yeah, but I think in the game nowadays, I think you need all your players to be comfortable with the ball, don't you? Whether that's the goalkeeper or your left back or whatever. I think, you can't really have players that are not comfortable with the football. But saying that, I think Alan's kind of right in some respects that you still need a keeper who can do the goalkeeping side of things. Because, you look at some goalkeepers and they say, oh, he's great with his feet. But if he's terrible with his hands, I mean, without sort of calling out Neil Etheridge, who actually, when they first signed him, I thought was a good goalkeeper. Yeah. But what's happened to him at Blues, I have no idea. We seem to be a graveyard for players that look decent, come in and then seem to disappear. But his handling of that football, he looks like he's catching a bar of soap, doesn't he? Yeah. I mean, I've seen him drop it in the net. One at Hull, you should just collect it in and it's bounced off him. So, you still need your goalkeeper
in the game as well.
He did, yeah. I mean, he seems like a really lovely bloke. Can I say he came to us with a fairly decent reputation. We paid good money for him.
So did Stockdale.
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly what I mean. That's what I'm saying. A lot of players come to. I can only think of Shea Adams in recent years, who's come to us, improved, and moved on. Everybody seems to come to us, seems to like nosedive into a end of their career or have. I
agree with Matt down in that comment. Etheridge had that COVID, and
that's true. He
never come back to
that. Yeah, we were talking about that. That is really, really interesting, that, isn't it? Because he seemed to be a decent goalkeeper. Then he had COVID.
Yeah.
And then when he came back to play, he never seemed to be the same. He doesn't even seem like the same person anymore.
Yeah. It was. I think that definitely changed his perspective. And he said it in an interview. He said it in an interview at the time, something like it puts your perspectives of life, what you want to do in life. It puts them in priority. Did his priorities change at that point? I'm a good goalkeeper. I'm playing at a team, blah, 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 where he isn't gone into that full focus of, I don't know,
it's fascinating
and stuff. But
it's interesting. We replaced him with Sarkic, didn't we, at the time? Yeah. I always remember when Sarkic came in. But then you think, well, actually, when you start looking at younger goalkeepers who give you confidence, whatever, you suddenly think, well, that's actually more about what we want. Apart from it, he played his first game away at Northampton in the pre-season friendly, and had an absolute nightmare. He flew right in front of us, and he kind of falls over the ball, and they score. And you think, what have we done here, bringing in this guy? But he actually turned out to be really, really good for us. Player of the season, wasn't he, at the end of the season? So, interesting. I think, I mean, that's the beauty of being well, the beauty of being a football fan or being a Blues fan, isn't it? It's just there's so many things you can debate around the team and what's going on the pitch, off the pitch. It's a real pleasure to be a Birmingham City fan. Let's face it.
I've just seen Brandon's commented saying Wigan's got a good young goalkeeper called Sam Tickle. I was watching Wigan. Yeah. He is amazing.
He played against Man United the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, he pulled out some stops in there. That'd be a good shout. But
it would, yeah. Mr. Tickle in goal. That's what we need, isn't it?
Yeah. Sam Tickle in goal. Well, like there's a Mr. Men, isn't he? With the
long arms. Yeah. Well, maybe that's why he's such a good keeper. Maybe he's got that in his family DNA from being a Tickle.
Yeah, that could be the one. Dixon could be the one who saves us million. I don't think he's another Jude, but who knows? Correct. I don't also think he's another Jude. He's a different player.
It's really interesting, Junior Dixon, isn't it? Really, for me, because when you got a player in the sort of the under 21s and they're scoring lots of goals, your first instinct is say, well, actually, you probably should be playing in the first team. And I think any other season when we're doing okay, I think they probably would. But I think what they're a bit wary of is bringing him into a struggling team, isn't it? Because you've had other young players come through too early, and you end up sort of damaging their confidence. So I've got a feeling they're kind of keeping him back until we're maybe more safer in the division. And then that might be a time to introduce him to say,
like 3 games. I said,
just go and play.
For me, if I'm Mowbray right now, I get to 55 points. I play as hard as I can to 55 points, and then throw the rest of the season. Not throw it away, but use it as experimental games. Use it as a pre-season. Work out if there's any of these players that I'm going to give another contract to.
Yeah.
Am I going to get rid of them? Or where do I really, really need to do this? And then I can start experimenting with some of those youth like Donovan and Dixon and putting them in they prefer with no pressure. No, exactly. If he honestly come out and said, we're pretty much safe, guys. Like, I'm going to give a little bit of variety in my teams now. You'll have the odd Blues fan that'll be like, nope. Like, you got to win every game. Or if he come out and said, look, this is a project. We're above the safety threshold of where we should be. Let's just give it a go for the last, 5 games.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be interested to see those young players given a chance. Definitely, you just don't want to throw them in. I mean, we threw Zach Geacock in goal, didn't we? Towards the end of that Bowyer season, and he conceded
was it 9 goals in 3 games or something?
Yeah, he plays at Gloucester City now, which is National League North, and even they're at the bottom of the league somewhere. So you got good, young, talented people, and if you put them in at the wrong time, you can just damage them, forever. And everyone just always remembers Zach Geacock now as being the guy who let in 6 at Blackpool, So you've got to be careful with that, and I think it is a fine line, that one.
Forget about the league right now. We should be focusing on the cup. Yeah, we've already said that. That's we went through. Do we throw it away and use it as an experiment game, or do we use it as a proper game like a league game and go for win? And we come down to the fact that Tony Mowbray is all about creating habits in football, and winning is the best habit to have. So we'd say go for the win, find out what we can do off that. And then talented Tony said about rumours say that Dixon has an attitude problem. I read something about this, that he did before he had quite a chip on his shoulder, and he actually has then gone away and done a lot of work with the Birmingham Academy guys to try and get it with Spooner to try and get him level-headed, because he basically said you've got all of the skills, you've not got the right mentality to make it. So he had a bit of a wobble then, and then he started coming back, and now he's on fire. So I was a little bit surprised Spooner never put him in, to be honest, and gave him that chance. But if he didn't put him in, I think I'd give him a chance later on in the season. But he could be huge, but it just depends if he grows into his own potential. That's his
exactly issue. That's the thing about potential with players. I mean, until it's proven, it's always potential, isn't it? You can score lots of goals in youth football, but when you're out on the pitch in front of the fans, it's a different arena, different. Some rise to the challenge, some fade away, I guess, aren't they? So but certainly we've got a great academy, and that's great to hear they're going to invest in that. I mean, people like Steve Spooner have been around for a long time, and
what a legend.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's a shame we lost Christian Speakman and Mike Dodds to Sunderland, because they also had been instrumental in bringing through a lot of players. But it's nice to think that we're going to go try and sort of apply to be a category 1 academy again. And that's a brilliant thing for the club, because the local area's got unbelievably talented players. And if we can attract them to come to us rather than maybe join Wolves, Villa, Albion or whatever, then, it can only be good for us, can't it?
The Martin's comment here about always wanted to see entertaining football. Obviously, we want to win, but if we can come away with a loss, but we've given 100%, I'm happy. That is, I think, exactly Tony Mowbray's understanding of what our club is. I don't care if you win, lose or draw, as long as you've left everything on that pitch to say, oh, guys, we lost 5-0, but we played our socks off. Sometimes there are better teams out there. Quite often recently, there's better teams out there than us. But
great.
that giving everything is the way our fans are bred, and you see it when they fight. And there's some big tackles going in, and then there's a bit of football. The crowd's like, "Yeah, come on!" And then
absolutely, yeah.
really
I mean, that it is in the DNA of the supporters
Yeah.
to want to see that, and that is what I consider to be entertaining football. Is a committed group who are prepared to go and put your body on the line, and sometimes you get the biggest cheer, don't you? If someone just gets a block on a really good chance, and you're prepared to actually just fight for everything and every ball and run and run and run. I mean, and I think that's what we want and that's what will make it entertaining, and that's what I think will bring the fans back. I think people will come back because they want to see, you want to pay good money, don't you? So of course you want to see something entertaining. You want to see us have a go, not just sitting back trying not to lose.
That giving everything point is what a lot of Tony Mowbray's teams do. Like, we all watched that 27-minute thing, and the amount of comments that were like, "I'd do anything for that. I'd go to war for him. I'd run through a wall." Like, you just sit there and go, I want to help him. He's like your granddad or your dad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I couldn't really sit through the Rooney kind of post-match or pre-match or what. I just thought I just couldn't. But with the Mowbray stuff, like you said earlier, that 27 minutes just flew by. I could have listened to him all evening, to be fair. And having someone who's like a real person in a real way, I think you do respond to that really well. So
yeah, it's that's a big thing. I think the difference in the two is going to be fundamental. Those players are going to want to jump in front of a ball for him so he doesn't get the stick. I think that's huge. And Rob, here, the fans are so important. Being back in behind that tilt, and I was stood up with Adam, and we were talking about there was some young lads there. They were giving that goalkeeper abuse, and he just kept looking back and grabbing his towel and his thing. And even after the game, he was then giving them more grief. But when they could see that goal, he just hid in his own goal. He was like, they were giving him grief before. Then he conceded that goal to JJ. That lower tilting and the cop being back open means they really hear us now. We're not half a mile away.
100%, yeah. I mean, that goal in front of the Tilton seems to have problems for goalkeepers, doesn't it? Over the years, you can see how many times that the crowd behind that goal have kind of like caused all sorts of things to happen, from Enkelman miskicking it under his foot, and then you've got the one in Ipswich when the guy miskicks it. I mean, it's always done funny things to goalkeepers, and I always have the opinion it's because you've got all those people behind you at the Tilton. It just puts you in a sense of panic as a goalkeeper, I think.
Yeah, it was great to see it, because after I remember seeing a video from seasons ago where they're proper abusing we're away, and the away fans are proper abusing the goalkeeper, and after the game he just claps them all, and he claps them back, and that's
brilliant.
Rattled. That's where we need to get.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, the best thing about the club really is the supporters, isn't it? I mean, we've never had a lot of success, but the supporters are unbelievable, really. And Mowbray touched on it with, he says, the humour amongst you all as well. You know, that's something he really loved, and I thought something I've always kind of like really enjoyed being part of. People are just like so funny, so funny during the game. It's always been a pleasure, Matt.
I think this comment here is where we struggle a little bit at the moment. We need to generate money, as we've been talking about for quite a bit of this now, is we need to generate money. The only way to do that is for it to come from somewhere. Yes, it's got to come from somewhere. Should we pack it out for cheaper? Yes. I personally believe Arthur's match every year should be a kids for £1, regardless of however long that goes on. Get as many of those kids in, kids for £1, Arthur's Day special. And you pack it out, and it's full, and you have loads of the youth come in, and you're getting a good day for Arthur. And
great point, Kieran. I think that's absolutely something that I think the club will do. I mean, when you look at what Gary Cook was saying, he's saying actually buying a ticket, and filling the ground isn't necessarily going to meet the commercial aim. So actually making the prices lower to encourage people to come during a time when money's really tight for everyone, I think would be something they'll look at in the new season. I genuinely believe that. I don't think they're beholden to just making prices expensive. I think they'll find other ways for the club to generate money, not just through ticketing.
The other thing I would say is, from the American sports side of things, they don't really do individual match tickets. They usually do season tickets. So what I think we'll see is an average of £40 a game, £35-40 a game to go watch a single game. But then if you're buying a season ticket, it averages out at like, I don't know, £17.
Yeah.
To enhance more people into buying that. Because by the time you've actually purchased your season ticket, even if you only go to 2 of those games, you've still spent
up front things for their all their cost control. Absolutely, they want to do that, but also it will pack things out. I mean, the reason you're seeing sort of like empty spaces here and there is directly related to not having season ticket holders, because people are match by match. They're not going to keep coming regularly, so that always will sort of stay like it is. I think there'll be a big push in the summer to make it more affordable for people with season tickets.
Where they made it all look nice and stuff. I think that's just the start. I think we'll have a good offer on season tickets, where they'll go, your average last season was £32 a game or £32.50 a game, but you can get your season ticket and pay monthly and pay like £18 a month, or it's something £30 a month, £40 a month, but it's still cheaper to do that than it's like
it'd certainly be great, wouldn't it?
The game's free.
Yeah, it'd certainly be welcome, I think, amongst supporters. The supporters are there. I think, it's just a matter of making it affordable and making it enjoyable to come to the games, not just the game itself. You need a lot more around the game to encourage people to come. Yeah. I'm really sorry, Kieran, but I'm going to have to drop out now, mate. So
no worries.
It's been great. I've got to 10 o'clock. So it's been great to speak to you. I've really enjoyed it. Good luck with the live lounge, and at any time you want me to join in, I'm always happy to come and support.
All the best.
So, all the best, Kieran. Take care, mate. Keep right on.
We'll go for a few more of these comments, and then we will start wrapping up. Signing drama. Yeah, I'm down for that. It will free up another loan option, correct? And then we could explore through Tony Mowbray's contacts as to where we can get. But he's been phenomenal for us this year. And when if we can get him and secure that extra loan place, it allows a few extra options, but it's whether we can get him or not. And then Martin Brady, any relation to Tom? Great news. What a first live lounge that would be. When Wayne Rooney was in charge, I always felt that the pre-match fireworks was a little bit like putting lipstick on a pig. 2 games without Wayne Rooney, and we've been impressive. Yeah, I mean, I love the fanfare. I love the lights. I love the fireworks. I didn't think it would be very us. It was very American at first, but I think if we're actually playing games and we're wanting to get the fans on side, that little ramp up at the beginning is just cool. And if we're playing good football, we'll be able to really come out, and the fans then just need to carry on. At the beginning of the season, when we were doing that, coming out to the fireworks, and then there was a slow keep right on, that gave me goosebumps for the first few times I heard that. I love the slow keep right on. But imagine for the players coming out and just hearing everybody behind you, and after seeing that, it ramps you up, it hypes you up, and that then we just need to get them started from the original. I just read that from the beginning of the game, because what we were doing is coming out really slow. I think if we can come out singing and getting right behind the lads from the beginning, that's our job then done. If we can do that, we can then smash the fans from the very beginning. Send Bert back to free another loan. I don't know why we ever signed him. He's terrible. He's more interested in doing TikToks with his missus. Yeah, send him back. No good. Touch of someone who's never played football before in his life. How that guy's a professional, I don't know, but I'm not here to slate people. On TV, it looks like the whole ground's empty, which is not great. Got to fill out the bottom section somehow. Yeah, like we were just saying before, but it's the issue is the season ticket holders haven't really gone back down there. I think we'll see a big difference when the original lower Tilton holders and cop holders go back down there. I personally think they do. If there's any tickets left on the day, they just do a bulk sale. But then I know from a business side of things, everybody would wait for the bulk sale rather than purchasing the more expensive tickets. So I don't really know how they'd get around that, but maybe doing a few offers like they have done where you get like 3 games for £20 or something along those lines, where you buy one and get one free. Something like that might be able to work. Great show. I have to go, but I've served a notification, so I'll be back. Going to hit the like. Also, thank you so much for following. We really appreciate that. We're going to be doing this live lounge every 2 weeks, just so we've got enough content. But the conversation doesn't stop when the screen stops. We are still on all the social medias and everything. I'll walk through everything at the end. We're going to go through a few more comments. We'll go till 1:15, and then I'll sign off, guys. Oliver Sayer in the youth ranks, as he's a sweeper keeper, got cat-like reactions. Maybe send him out on loan and get some experience in League One. This is what the youth is at the moment. The team looks amazing. I watched a few of their highlights and stuff of what they're doing. It's impressive. It's what we need for the future. We need to work out how to develop them better. Is that playing them in the under-21s league and getting them to play this Blues philosophy? I think from what I understand, Steve Spooner likes to mimic whatever the main manager wants, so they could fit into a formation. So it'd be interesting to see if he does that with Tony Mowbray. That I know he was doing it with John Eustace, where he was mimicking the style of play that John Eustace plays. So if any of them did need to step up, they can step in without, and they know their role already. Is it always worth sending them out on loan? I don't know. But at the moment, our academy is full of good potential. It's just, I'm not the guy here to make those decisions. Maybe it is best to send them out on loan. Totally agree with Bert. Complete way of space. Tony Mowbray won't stand for it for too long, hopefully. No, he said in his first interview with the players that if you want to play for me, great. I'll be behind you every step of the way. We're all in this together. If you don't and you're not here 100%, I won't hang around and clear out. And I think he's pretty brutal like that. If you're behind him, he's behind you 100%. But he also won't take people taking the mick out of him too much. We need the under-21s to be in the top league to attract better players, and they have said that this is the future. Correct. This is, again, touching on the youth again. They're playing really good football. They're promising a lot. They're trying to get the Grade 1 Academy back. It's all moving in the right direction of that. And like we've said earlier, when we're talking about the OVG basis, building that capacity of the youth academy is part of that long-term build. If we can start building the youth team up now, we might be able to either cash out later on some or keep them and play them through like we have with Jude or JJ and some of the others. So we'll see what the academy brings. I think that's one of the biggest things they're focusing on. That and the women's game, actually, they're putting a lot of work with obviously Hope coming in for the women, and I think that we're going to see a big change in how that's directed as well. To if they can build revenue out of the women as well, all good. We'll be starting moving forward. Ideal capacity for a new stadium with the new company partner and all that. Can we sell out St Andrews? I think 30,000 is a struggle for us. If we get back into the Prem, we'll do it. We did 21,000 the other day, and that's the most I remember for a while. Other than a derby, would I say we needed any bigger than 30? I'd take it, but we're just going to have empty parts of the ground again. That's the thing for me where that would be the issue. Getting rid of Ollie Burt would send a message to some other players as well. Bielik frustrated me yesterday, had the ball and stopped moving, looking around and looking to go backwards. Yeah, we've touched on Bielik already. He was so frustrating yesterday, and Tony Mowbray had his head in his hands at times just watching him when he should have passed it forward. He took the easy option to turn and go back. He was really slow. But I think Tony Mowbray will bring the best out of Bielik. I do have a belief in Bielik. It was there. He just needs to have that confidence to turn and push. And I think Tony Mowbray is on about bringing these standards in where it becomes a habit. He wants everybody to turn up and face forward. And worst case scenario, if we can't go forward, we go sideways. If we can't go sideways, then it's the time we go back. Other than that, no, go forward. We have £2 million budget. You can only sign 2 players. What positions would you go to sign? For me, like I said, goalkeeper would be fundamental. Number 1, I'd go Rodak, and $2 million's not a lot of budget. I think I would go Jesse Lingard. Oh no, I wouldn't. I'd go in for Drama. I'd see what on earth I could do to secure Drama for full time and get a player in on loan to do that. So you'd kind of get 3 players for the same sort of budget. I've been in stands with over 60,000 people, 63 years watching my team. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'd get 60,000 anytime soon. I mean, I'd love it to be. I mean, like I said, we're really struggling to. There was lots and lots of Birmingham City fans like, when the stadium's open, I'll go again, and when the Chinese zone is, I'll go again, and it just seems everything's always an excuse. Now the ticket prices are too much. Yes, I get it. There's a cost of living crisis, but also we've got that many fans that were around begging for tickets. How are we not getting there with what we are? Maybe the club should put some offers on and secure that, and then start with real good season ticket offers next season, like we mentioned. But 60,000 people, I'd love that. I'd love that. But even that keep right on yesterday was so much better with the lower Tilton and Coppin. Like, even though it wasn't full, it was just so much better. It was so loud. Drama possible free has, I think he's out of contract at the end of the summer. In which case, let's get him signed now, because we can in this window sign him for a free if he's out of contract at the end of the season. So we can give him a pre-contract. So let's do that. If even better, if he's free, then we can do both things. We can get him on a free and get another player on loan. I'd get rid of Iwu as well, I think, but and free up another loan place if I'm being really critical. But if you were in charge to name the new ground, what would you call it? And do you think the Wheel site is the right place for Blues? I'd call it something based off St Andrews. I know that because the fans just wouldn't have it any other way. It'd have to be something St Andrews Stadium, I think. So I don't know. I know beginning of the season it was like the Tesla St Andrews Stadium. And then something like that with this new OVG owners, they'll bring in a named brand for it. So, yeah, that would be what I'd go with, something branded, but it'd still have to say St Andrews. And is the Wheel site? I don't think it's for Blues. I just, from reading what it's been put down through from the council, I don't know if it's Twitter talk, so don't shoot me. I'd love it to be. That's the perfect size. If you put the Etihad campus over that sort of size, it equates to about the same sort of area. So that would be a good place for it. And with the new HS2 line as well, it gives it accessibility. Obafemi or on loan, Reece Williams from Liverpool. I'd absolutely take both. Obafemi, we spoke about him earlier on in the stream. Reece Williams, just bits. That'd be a great shout, Mark. Maybe you should message the touts that go out, scouts even, that go out and look at them and see what they can do, see if they can get or message Greg Gardner. I'm not saying for obvious reasons, but a player like Barry Bannon. Oh, really? Type of player, playing the ball, playing midfielder, get the ball moving and turning forward. I know exactly what you mean. Not him though. So absolutely would not take Barry Bannon. I think he could come and do anything he wanted in a blue shirt in a good thing, but he'd still get booed off by a great majority. But I know what you mean, a player that turns, swivels. I think Miyoshi's got that potential, but I just don't think we're seeing they're seeing the true potential of Miyoshi yet. I just think he's been underutilized at the moment. The Shelby and Co. St Andrews, yeah, you could, but I think we'll have to go for bigger ownership, bigger sponsorship, if I'm honest. I've heard people say that near the NEC and Resorts World, thoughts on that? Again, great area for it. It's all about getting in and out before and after games. That's the most important thing. If it can work, where with the wheel site, you got that new Curzon Street station. That'd be great to get in and out, because we all know. And the game the other day, it took 2 hours for some people to get away from the stadium. That's obviously fundamentally not okay. But if you're bringing it into an area where we've got more access out, that'd be great. Billy, just saying about Miyoshi is too weak for the championship. He drives and looks really good. One push off the ball and he's all good for the game. That's what Messi used to do. He used to be weak. He got in the gym. That's what Jude Bellingham used to do. And then he got in the gym. So give the guy, it's his first season with us. Give him a pre-season where he gets to get in the gym with Duke, and I think we could see a slightly different side of him. Just think about the small players that we've got at the moment with size. We've got like people like Keshi Anderson. He's massive. If Miyoshi is in the gym training regularly with these sort of people, he'll get slightly bigger. He'll be a little bit less nimble than what he is, but his movement won't change that much. So I think he needs a bit of size yet, but I think it's possible. Waiting for the 17 for like 2 hours yesterday. Yeah. The way out of St Andrews, when we've got fans back now, I think people are noticing it a lot more. Before it was just a constant, but because we've had half the stadium out, then I think people are noticing it now. We've got more fans back in. But guys, I am going to start wrapping off now. So I just want to say a big thank you to all of the callers we've had on. So we had Callum, Ken and Paul. So I do want to thank them for coming on and being part of the first episode on the Live Lounge. Thank you for all the comments and the interactions that we've had tonight. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe. And I just want to remind you all that the conversation doesn't stop here. It doesn't end with this chat. Keep engaging with us on social medias. We'll be back on in 2 weeks for more analysis, debates, and of course your calls. If you're wanting to get involved with the next one and come on as one of the callers, message us in our direct messages, and we'll start booking in people for the next show. Thank you for everything. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But I've been Kieran. I've been your host. Thank you for watching. Keep right on.